Turn the face of damnation. Turn the face of damnation.
I used to be into the Islam.
Allah damn, I must say her name in vain. Taught to love, hate to see only my people in pain. Minds walked and brain lost and watched. Sons of God still hang on trees for black Jesus hung on a cross. Watching them stagger with daggers through the heartless forest. Wearing blacks and buried but called black is flawless. The only race human. We were the green and blue men with more science, ancient solutions. Uplifting fallen, calling for the end of confusion. But damnation was the hologram show illusion. Trigger that so that's always and forever. Damnation needs to learn a new measure. Aggressor or intelligent tone beats a many time cousin. They expect the nigga antics, the yelling and cussing. Driven offense turns heads and feds to dashboard computers. So I told them leave the muzzle on to crown prosecutors. Some listen, some turn to kill the who's not a more sharpshooter. Wards of the crown, civil litter. More two-pocket looters. Lions conquer cause their pride and courage is neuter. The face of damnation.
I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
It's crazy how the politics can't call it quits. Preference excursions of perversion just to call they bids. Now this one for the snorting all the big-based kids. They got a whole lot of wordplay to make you sick. Make you post it just to throw it in your face. Take six, it's all games cause these corporates trying to sell you tricks. Now no schools for the losing board. Tunnel vision's hard dusting. It's a comic creation board to make you take. Feeding off the damnation just so you can hate her. She can never be the reason you betrayed her. Or sell her all the lies just to open up her thighs and try to break her instead of open up her eyes and try to wake her. Impossible, cause all you try to do is let this paper cater to her feelings and blind her like a savior. You picture you a painter, and all the bits are trying to wager. This fee I only give you what you can have.
It's more than that, not for living for the youth as you brought the truth back to this constitutional fold.
Turn the face of damnation.
I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
All aboard, all in. Hands up, all for one for all. Man up, damnation like to make excuses like their hands cup. Usually in the cookie jars where their hands stuck. Always pointing fingers on what we do. Why you mad at us? Lead them to the water, make them drink. Still matters. House put the bill, wasn't ready. What you think? Back on luck, resorting to your corporate ways. Think you made an honest buck. Look at all the things you say. Lets me know your life sucks. Regret choices every day. Why bother waking up? Damnation always says the half empty of the cup. Higher self eventually fades to obscurity. Lower self raises up. Run into the church, worship him, but they praising us. Empty out your purse, sing to him. In God you trust. Blood of Christ wash away your sins. So what's the fuss when you can run to us? Why you acting sus? You were agent, I still ride the back of the bus. Blood hits the pavement, politician gets his cut. Mental enslavement, static connect, breaking up.
Turn the face of damnation.
I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
Hey, what you say? If you should lose
The Sufi mystic, T4 from the high Moorish tradition. Perpendicular position, no longer in Ebony state. They lied to us, said we got shit from miles away. But the old back hands look just like me. The flow and gift like Patriarchy, St. Maurice. That's charitable, these lands inheritable. We're virgin of a state inevitable. So stop the street, I'm on a plane out of your reach. And I ain't talking Delta seats. All metaphysics with a well-blended civics. We colleagues, not lieutenants. This guy was jealous like Musa Ben said. True Ali revelation, Luke Moors is here. Displaying the art, Khalifa society, make sure y'all Moorish master MC, also a grand sheep, delectable Negro, barbecue and the clan meat. See me in my feds, won't mistake me for black man. I'll call it might assume I'm a Masonic brother. Brown chronic lover, either roll or edible supper. Vibrate at a high rate, turn to a dimension jumper. Hit the soul plane, quick build with the profit. Get back to the earth plane, dismissed on the docket. Magistrate lane and vomit, janitor bring the comet. No bond paid, temple gets a deposit. Sketch not composite, left no witness. Left blue on the litmus, get altitude sickness. So high on your head, whenever I spit this, I'm the type to forget, so you get no forgiveness. Business is strictly like Eric and Parrish. Moreno is my status if you're speaking in Spanish. Man or manish when I draw from the chalice, looking like the paintings of Arabs. Tiger head rug in the palace, accepting your challenge. Final glove slap since you thought I was average. Carried by 1,000 scarabs over the hot sand. Last name comes from Moors that rule Scots land. Black or Moors you thought Elizabeth got bad. True Ali name known again what's not planned. Try to call me Indian, no that will not stand. Forget to say the prayer, now I feel I'm in Copland. Forgot the amethyst, start rubbing on stone shaman. Cause a glitch in the matrix, stop feds from charging. Body frozen walking past, the eyes enlarging. With a ray gun like Marvin Martian. That's all folks when we activate carbon. End it all like arson, or your face on a carton.
I'm a Moorish American man, national. 360 degrees is added to my arsenal. Like a carpenter, got me building temples, but mentally noble to I lead the measure and stick your activities. I came here to predatory, changing negativity. Precisely, my purpose is to uplift humanity. So why you mad at me? Cause you know I'm a more 2,000 years with the prophet like I've been here before. Go ahead and diss the prophet cause you're so immature. When justice come knock at your door, bodies will get the floor. Like a folk puzzle your brain just like a jigsaw. Booty cut your head off and did we play ping pong. Looking through the peephole cause you hit a ding dong. I don't sing songs, I'm the champ with no rings on. Concrete jungle gives a fuck about King Kong. I'm ready to go, but when I die I scream out King Kong like Kid John. Cause my last words would be Islam. What up, mom? My higher self is keeping me this calm.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Case Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes them a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho, keeping all my lions tamed.
Sense was made before Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Case Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes them a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho, keeping all my lions tamed. I'm Prince Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm rock face, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in the lost state. Prophets told me up.
Was made. Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Case Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes them a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho, keeping all my lions tamed. I'm Prince Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm rock face, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in the lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Saute, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, deja vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no clue I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snakes still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death, different slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Moorish more, key man oracle, using trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts like a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Case Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law, me similar to a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Face, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Saute, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, deja vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no clue I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snakes still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death, different slavery. Looking for life, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Moorish more, key man oracle, using trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts like a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brainwaves, squash my heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence, they are feminists, stomped on by elephants, won't like no prejudice but want Moorish benefits, when you feel the cold magnetic resonance, apis horns of the sacred book all maleficent, great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence, ace all the testaments, tap into remembrance, never to forget again, use energy right, not put spell effects on men, wandering the earth plane with no veiled shades, keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades, it's been decades since Christian crusades, not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets, holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday, war ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Bet they won't. Bet they won't give it a try. Bet they won't give it a try. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all the Moors. All the Moors wherever you are. Honors to you, Moors.
Islam.
Know, Moors, that you're the best. Just know that you're the best. If you know that you're a Moor, know that what you know is where it's at. What you know, Moors, is where it's at. It's not about where anybody else is at, because nobody has respect for the savages. No one has respect for the savages. Everyone has something bad to say about the savages. And the savages want to play like they're not savages. If you're going to kill your own, you're a savage. If you're going to take advantage of some mother selling her a package, now she has to sleep out of her car, you're a savage. If you're gonna tell people pay some 500, 5,000, 10,000 for freedom, pay for sovereignty, pay for nationality, pay for the class that's going to teach you the law, that's going to let you beat these people with the case you got coming up and all that stuff, all those people are savages. We're letting you know that they're savages.
Yep.
Why are they savage? I don't have any children, but they want my nieces to suffer. They want my nieces to not know about themselves.
For a kickback.
For a kickback.
Yep.
Right? That's savage.
That's not even funny either. That's serious. That's what it really is.
They want little Yusuf. Just now, 10 minutes ago, the Islam, brother Yusuf, Islam. There's no debate. There's no arguing. There's no back and forth. What do you mean Islam? I don't want to be Muslim and all that. There's none of that. None of that.
Nope.
None of that. No, isn't that unity? Lil Yusuf lives all the way over from wherever I'm at. We're not in the same jurisdiction. Or are we? Maybe we don't have a savage, maybe we don't have a savage mindset. That's why I can tell this more across the country, Islam, and then his response is going to be the same thing, and then we can go ahead and get some stuff done because we have unity. But the savages don't want that. So honest to all the Moors worldwide who know that they're Moors. All the Moors who proclaimed and declared their nationality and said, I'm a Moor. I'm not Negro, black, colored, and all the other fiction stuff that people want to make up. Honors to you. Because where you're at is where it's at. Islam, Moor. I know you must have something to talk to. I know you got something to tell these savages.
Because it's just, you nail it on the head. Because now I'm looking at it differently with the whole savage thing. Because it's like you said, you kill your own, you're a savage. If you're charging people for nationality and birthrights, you're a savage. And it's like, yeah, that's what it's the new thing, but the same old terms, the same old people. You know what I mean? Like those were the savages back then that they were talking about in his scouting people and doing all of this, going crazy. Yep. When those are the same people
putting European women in slavery and the harem and all that stuff. You're a savage.
Yep.
That's not cool because there's some Europeans. So as the Moors, we can take their women and put them in stuff. But now you're complaining when these people raping your woman. Don't complain. Your woman getting raped by now by some European. Guess why he's doing that for? Guess why?
Yep.
How about because cause and effect? How about because of universal law? That's why some European is taking advantage of your daughter right now. Because you've condoned savagery. So don't complain. You ask for what you're getting right now. You ask for it. You could ask for anything in the world. You ask for being a savage. And now savage is now on you. And you're complaining. When you set the whole thing in motion. Islam, more. Didn't mean to get in your space right there. Do you think?
No, because it goes deeper. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, if you boule, you a savage. Yep. If you Prince Hall and all, savage. Calling yourself Negro colored black, savage. Selling out, savage. Look what you just did. All of that, savage. And that's why across the planet, nobody likes it. NBC's, etc. Like, you're a savage.
Oh, More said in the chat, he's trying to get me to sign up for a stimulus check. You're a savage.
Yeah. See that? Yo, he's not lying. I got people right now going crazy talking about well, let me use your social. Let me get your stimulus check. I said, yeah, but you better take all the BS that comes with it too. So don't just try to take that. Take that BS too. Take that with it. You want the checks? Go here. Go get them. I never got one. Go get all of them. I don't want none of that crap. Take it. But that other BS that come with it, don't act like you don't see it.
Yep.
Don't act like you don't see it.
All of a sudden, you don't know what's going on.
Yep.
All of a sudden, it's corporations and all that. Admiralty, maritime law, and all that. It wasn't like that when you were getting the stimulus.
Yeah.
All that Illuminati and George Bush sleeping with the children and all that stuff or whatever.
Yeah, none of that. No Epstein Island, none of that. None of that. None of that.
When check comes, they forgot about the pedophile island.
Forgot about everything.
Forgot about the pedophile island and all that.
All of that. They be right in line with their mask on, waiting to cash their check. Waiting.
Right. The ones who are on this know without a shadow of a doubt that Noble Drew Ali is the man. There's no one else. No one. Not even us. Not even anybody in More Avengers. No one is the man other than Drew Ali. No one. So once you know that you're a Moor, once you know that you have a nationality, even if it's a little bit, even if you're 0.00000000000% in favor of nationality and birthrights, and that we're Moors, not all this other fake stuff that people made up. Honors to you, right? Most High can't be a man because Most High is a woman. So stop the BS. Stop the BS. We're not these temple Moors that you people are used to. Even though we have a temple, and even though we face the east and say, Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my God, my protector, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Even if we say that, we're not religious Moors. We're not the Moors that you people are used to. Our eyes been open before we were Moors. Eyes been open. So there ain't no Most High over here that's masculine. Zero. A big, since it's just Easter, a big egg. Zero. God's feminine. Ain't no Most High that's masculine. Zero of it is masculine. Zero.
Doesn't make sense.
Trying to tell me that the Most High is masculine, you're a savage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is where we're going with savage. So you're either Moors or you're a savage. Pick a side. There's no gray area anymore. The gray area is over. You're either on the side of the people or you're Boule. I don't need to see no Boule papers to prove that you're Boule. Right? Like
I can tell my boy, just look at his works. I don't need no paperwork, just look at his works.
Yep.
That's Boule activity.
Right? There's the link. Push the link. Because we're not here to confuse. You know, masculine and feminine. That's called the creator or whatever. It's called a creator. Find me a man that could create something. The most dynamic thing that you can create on the earth plane is another being. And those only come from wombs. They don't come from assholes. They don't come from penis heads. All things that are living on the earth plane come from a womb. A plant comes from earth, which is a mother. Earth is masculine and feminine? What are you talking about? How is earth masculine and feminine if earth is a mother and mother is feminine?
It's called Mother Nature.
Oh,
Not
it's not called Father Nature.
Or Mother Father Nature or them nature. Or those natures, like, no, just mother.
Universal law is based on the law of opposites. So if you said the Most High, high is feminine, low is masculine. It's not, that's just what it is. Don't get mad. So what's the sun in the sky? Isn't it called sun? If it's called sun, and then I'm called son, and all you do is change the vowel, then wouldn't that mean a son's masculine? So if a son's masculine, if Ra is depicted as a man in Egyptology, not a woman, Ra is never feminine. Never, ever, ever, ever in the whole Egyptology, whatever, chematology, whatever they want to call it, you never hear, you never, ever, 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 ever hear that sun is feminine. Where's sun come from? That's the question. Where's sun come from? That's the question. Because if Ra is the sun, and the sun's in something else, the sun's not by itself existing, the sun's in something. So then how's the sun have some superior position when it was created? Nobody said the sun is feminine. The sun is masculine. That's why it's called sun, S-O-N, or S-U-N. Regardless how you spell it, it's masculine. Nobody's debating that. The sun comes from somewhere, because I, as a son, didn't just show up. I, as a son, came from a womb. So the sun that's out there came from a womb. That's just what it is. It's under debate, argue about, because you're a religious idiot. We talk about vegetation. We just told you vegetation comes from the womb called Earth. Vegetation doesn't come from the sun. Every single plant life on the planet didn't come from the sun. They came from Earth. Dumbass. They came from Earth. They didn't come from the sun. The sun assists in those things being created, but the sun ain't have nothing to do with plants existing. All
the moon actually.
Stop this. Go ahead, Mark.
Now, just because I farm, Green Sheik. I mean, I grow my crops or whatever. It's actually the moon.
No, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. They're trying to kill you right now. Don't worry.
It's more beneficial than the sun.
Yo, hold on. They just broke you up. Say that again.
Like this sun is a good prep. Islam.
Okay, you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, they just cut you out. Say that again, because we didn't hear anything.
Oh, just
the sun and Islam.
Oh, okay. The moon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The moon is actually more beneficial than the sun is. When growing crops, like the moon is more beneficial for foliage and the widening of plants. Like, so when it starts producing its flowers or producing its fruits, the moon is more beneficial for its weight. It's like the sun is just a good foundation for it, but it's that moon that does the most of all the work for the crops. That's why people, when they grow according to the moon cycle. Like in ancient times. Nowadays, everybody wants to know where the sun is at and all of that, but it's really the moon. It's everything's based off of, which is Mama, which is the mother again.
Let me ask you this question: Is that your opinion?
No. Like, I didn't know that. I say it all the time. I'm just Brother Yusuf. I read that. I studied that. Like, that's not, and then did it and noticed it, took notes and everything, studied it, and was aware, like, oh, it is true. It's the moon. Like, you can watch it. You can go outside and watch your plants. When it, like, in real time, you'll see that your plants are moving underneath that moon.
I don't know if you're looking at the chat right now, but one question was, so why does the Moorish prayer start with Father of the Universe?
Because you gotta go look up the definition of father. Father really goes back to mother, because it's paternity.
But the idiots who are religious, they're gonna look at father as the all and be all. Because if you deal with father, then you're gonna have to deal with son. And then if you deal with son, obviously you're gonna have to deal with mother. But no, they don't say mother, they say most high. Start talking about spirits and all this type of stuff instead of just telling you mother. So Allah, Father of the universe, there's two things said. Allah, comma, Father of the universe. It doesn't say Allah is the Father of the universe. It says Allah, comma, Father of the universe. So Allah is one entity, and then Father of the universe is another entity. They have you think Allah is the Father of the universe. That's the patriarch. That's the patriarch to try to get you into the savage mindset. This is why all your stuff got messed up. Because Noble Ali set it up a certain way so that you're not going to have any issues. As soon as one screw is out of place, you're going to have problems. Because you're not going to find out that that screw's missing for 100 years. So all the stuff that get messed up on the way to the 100 years, just because of one screw missing, now you have to fix all this stuff too. Right? Things only have gender after mother. Because mother's not masculine and feminine. That's why they have terms like divine feminine. Divine feminine is the all and be all. Divine masculine comes after. Because they're not together. Because you tell me where did Lucy come from? Where Lucy come from?
A man's stomach.
Where Lucy come from? Right? And Adam came from somewhere. Adam didn't just show up out of nowhere. ATOM was created.
Mm-hmm.
What created the atom? And they're gonna keep going back to feminine. It's gonna keep going back to the womb. Nothing else that you could come up with. Everything that's created, womb. What time womb? Celestial womb, spiritual womb, etheric womb, earthly womb, physical womb. You name it. It's a womb. Once it's created, only wombs create. There's nothing else that creates. The wombs. We're not patriarchs. Peace, DC.
Peace, peace. What's going on, God?
Everything's peaceful.
That's for sure.
What's on your mind?
I mean, I know a second ago I had wanted to, state how, in the Quran it says Allah is the Lord of Sirius. You feel me? It don't quite say the Lord of the universe, but it does say, Allah is the Lord of Sirius. Like we be like Sirius B, like the Dogon, that's a Dogon's parent star.
Mm.
And that's pretty much like saying Allah and the Dogons, everything, all of that is like connected.
Well, it is all connecting because the Dogons wear feathers and all that.
I mean, if you read like the Essene Gospel, Jesus don't just talk about the Father, but you speak of the Mother a lot. But every time Jesus was talking about the mother, or Yahshua was talking about the Mother in the Essene Gospel, he was talking about Mother Earth.
How come he
but
wasn't
not to say the
about,
moon isn't feminine and
how come he wasn't talking about Father Earth then?
We already know it's a balance. You feel me? It's that negative and that positive.
No, that's after.
We ain't nothing without it.
That's after. That's after. The negative and the look at the yin and yang symbol, right? That they say is positive and negative. That's inside one circle. It's not inside two circles.
Yeah.
The yin and yang is within something. They're not by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, they are one.
That thing that they're within is a womb, which is feminine. After feminine, now you get the masculine and the feminine. There's no feminine, there's no masculine aspect of feminine. Masculine doesn't exist within feminine. Because even before masculine is a masculine, it's a feminine. Masculine is not masculine fresh out the gate. Yeah, 6 months as a feminine before you're a masculine.
I mean, I'm I can damn near debunk that though. I ain't gonna lie, because basically the embryos are genderless. An embryo is genderless. I mean, no gender whatsoever. You feel me? Up until almost like 3 months for sure, but a month and a half at the least. You know what I'm saying? But they're genderless.
But we're not talking about you're still not recognizing that genderless thing is in a womb, which is feminine.
Yeah.
All right, so feminine is the all and be all. After feminine, then there's the balance of masculine and feminine. But the creation of masculine and feminine is feminine.
No, the creator. The creator of masculine and feminine.
Masculine and feminine didn't create son and daughter. Mother created son and daughter. Because a father is also a son. A mother is never a daughter. Even a daughter is a mother. Because the all and be all is the feminine. And once you slip into patriarchy, now you have all this BS that we're dealing with. How come Noble Drew Ali wasn't bringing a man and a woman out the water? Why was he only holding a woman? And humanity's written on her.
I mean, because we already know a nation can't rise no higher than this woman.
So then what are you talking about masculine stuff for? Then why are we bringing up masculine as if masculine has some power and is on some plane with feminine? Masculine is not on a plane with feminine. It's below feminine.
Yeah, I know that.
She created him.
I know what you're saying. On a divine level, that's for sure. That's the way it should be. But that's not necessarily the way things be going nowadays. I know what you're saying, though.
But
that's the way it should be.
But it's not going like that because you got away from the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Not me, them. The women did it.
Right.
Hey, like I had a sister point out to me how when she was talking about how everything patriarchal, I brought up the feminists, but she was like, really, brother, you got to look at it. Those feminists are actually masculine. You feel me? Like they not even feminine. They might be a woman, but they clearly are being masculine. You feel me? So that's what I'm saying. There's nothing greater a woman can be than to be that divine feminine. Like a woman's supposed to be a nurturer. You feel me? Period. And that's what they supposed. That's really what a woman should do, at least throughout her life. That's not the only thing. We can be anything else, but God dang, they got to be divine enough to nurture the next generation.
They better, because if they're not, then they're a savage.
Exactly.
Yep.
Hey, and that's what they bragging on. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie. How you put all that?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like they whipped all of that together. Classy, bougie, and ratchet.
That's savage.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only thing classy is they're trying to say, I look good doing it. Look good being no good.
Yeah, well, the men too.
Oh yeah. But like you say, men were never as divine in the first place. So we can't rise higher than our woman. You feel me? So they knocked us down by falling down.
When she gets back up, you better be ready.
Yeah.
You better be ready when she gets up. You stay asleep forever.
Yep.
She will awaken. She's the sleeping giant.
That's for sure.
No, I just really got concerned. Like, yo, damn, if they wake up, like,
yeah, and
they just be hitting you on your leg. Now get up. You're just bothering me. Get up. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. Hey,
we got rich to right. We're downtown bothering. Like, I already know when they wake up, we're not gonna just be able to be doing blog talks. They're gonna want us to be in people's faces.
Yep. Hey, guess what? I always tell people the only reason the government or whatever establishment is standing up against us because mama ain't said knock you out. If mama say knock you out,
I like that.
we gonna handle that. You know what I'm saying? As a people, like the men, we would stand the fuck up. But mama ain't say knock you out. Y'all got mama scared. So ain't what we gonna do? Man ain't, you know what I'm saying? Shh. We gonna do whatever mama say to a degree.
Hold on, child of Israel. Don't talk crazy. All this talking, where's the action and all that stuff? Because we know that mothers who are Moors, we know that they got their children learn about their nationality and birthrights and all that.
Elite.
And then those children are going to these colonist schools and they're elite in the school where they don't even have to go celebrate black stuff if they don't want to.
Oh, just to add on real quick, Grand Sheik, the English superintendent department here in our jurisdiction at my son's school, they needed a volunteer from each school in our so-called community to put somebody up who was the smartest one in their school, to choose the one to write something about, you know, what's going on in their community, or start something in their community that everybody remember it for, or something like that. So the school chose Little Yusuf to do it.
Of course. Who else they gonna choose?
Congratulations, brother.
Why would they choose a savage?
Yeah. And I'm bugging. I'm going because Little Yusuf said, "No, thank you." I said, "Yo, you're the best."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. I'm all set. Y'all can get that to somebody else. Yo, I was like, you're the best, man. I never seen nothing like you.
Never
seen nothing like it.
Not getting me up in those rooms, breathing on me, taking my energy. Forget all that.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah. They want him to represent them so it can make them all look good.
Yep. They need my son because his grade, I guess because his grade levels are so high that they need my son to be at the school to help the grades.
Yeah.
Hey. I'm dying laughing at that stuff. I'll be like, wow, that's amazing.
Hey, I remember because I was in gifted class like since 3rd grade, right? And I remember, and the only time I'm in class with black people is, Moors or anybody of melanated. There wasn't no melanated people really in my class. Only time I'm in class with them is homeroom. And homeroom, it happens to be where you take your SATs and stuff. You feel me? And my homeboy sitting behind me, we got the same last name, so he was sitting right behind me. And luckily, we had the same test. And he taught my Christmas trend. So I let him copy all of my, my answers. I just picked the paper up, let him look over my shoulder. I'm checking my answers. He copying everything. At the end of the year, that was the last week of school, so we didn't get our report cards until summer. So I get my reports. They say I'm average. Nothing ain't changed. You're all right. Man, when he went to school, they tried to put him in all gifted classes in high school. He was like, man, what the hell? Man, he said, man, hey, he made him put him right back in regular classes. He's like, man, you is not gonna do me like that. They talking about they said his scores was off the chart, but they told me mine was average. You see what kind of games they play? You feel me? They trying to say he made a jump from where he was, but they telling me, you ain't nothing. You the same as before. Ain't nothing changed. They telling me I'm average, but somebody else copied my shit. He's extraordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn.
The young generation of men outdoing y'all old timers, pushing the side. No, if you're doing anything as a savage, whatever you're doing is useless.
Yeah.
You're conscious savages. You think that you're doing something. Actually, let's put this one out there. Go look up. Actually, we'll just read this. Moore sent this one. Islam to the Moors that study. Islam to the Moors that study. If anybody knows Simeon Panda.
Oh.
How come?
Somebody wrote that in the chat?
No. This is something I'm reading right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Simeon Panda, born 28th of May, 1986 in England. He's currently age 33. Possesses a birth sign of Gemini. He is British by nationality and holds the ethnicity of white. However, information regarding this education is still unknown to the media. Simeon Panda, British, ethnicity white, but he's a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to be the savage? Talk about you're black. But you're not white though. And when Moors tell you that we're the free white people and our status is white power and all that, you're looking at us like we don't know what we're talking about. But nobody's debating
But you know the
having a white status.
You know the definition for free white person is a naturalized citizen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really deal with the free white person thing, but I know what you mean by as far as the status white and black and all that. That's for sure.
The free white person includes the Moorish inhabitants. How is that not? What do you mean? We're not free white people.
They say naturalized citizen. That's
says
naturalized citizen.
It says Moorish. It says Moorish, and it says does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race.
It don't mean the Caucasian race.
Yeah, so if it doesn't mean Caucasian race, then that means it's us.
No, it means naturalized citizens.
No.
Yeah, you're reading the top part, the modernized definition. Underneath it is the ancient part. I know what he's talking about when they make the act. The act that they pass.
The act that they created is
right
where the naturalized comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the definition. That's just in the act that they say naturalized free white people. But when you talk in history, the free white people included Moors.
Yeah, the act mean they lied. And
because beyond the act.
Mm-hmm. And about Simeon, like you know what a Simeon crease is? Like in the palm of a hand, or a Simeon crease. You know how like we got lines in our hand, like some of us might have some of us got an M in the middle of our palm.
Right.
Yeah, like well, Caucasian people pretty much have a Simeon crease. You know, and that's something they have. That's the same thing that chimpanzees and different apes have. They have a Simeon crease, you know, in the palm of their hand. So that's like showing a direct descendant of a troglodyte. And I just brought that up since his name is Simeon.
No. It's not.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna look that up.
It's not. It's not limited to that, because again, the mindset that our people have is based in training.
Mm-hmm. That's what education means. Yeah, education means training.
Right? From somebody else. Right? Because keep in mind when you're talking about simian creases and all that stuff, and you're talking about man is from the earth and all that stuff, all those stuff are ley lines. The simian creases, the lines in the palm, the veins are the rivers.
Yeah, they got like one line.
Or the organs are the oceans. The simian creases in the palm are the ley lines.
Yeah.
That's why when they talk about Reiki and stuff like that, you check these people's palm. Ain't nobody have no clean palms with nothing in it.
Shoot, that's what a simian crease is.
Right? Having those lines in the palm. That's what the energy worker is gonna read. Because there's emotions and powers and certain things within those creases. That's how they got there, like that. So having the M's and the A's and whatever in the palm, even going up to the fingers, Look at those the same way as you look at ley lines on the map. Right? Because we can't cast everything out. Right? You can't cast everything out.
That's that video I was showing with Satin Ra when he said, "Eat the fish, spit the bones."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So this is stuff that it's deeper than what we could even comprehend. Because we have to be cognizant of at all times of the fact that we're the first everything. We're even the first savage.
Yep. There we go.
We're the first everything. And either we're going to be on the side of what is right and good and true and everything that's in favor instead of being for everything that's against. Because once we start going against, which is why we're in trouble right now. And everybody wants you to be on the level of a savage right now, not knowing. Wants us to be on the mindset that it's not a human family. Everybody's separated into this and separated that. No, that's not what it is. It's one human family, and we're all part of some nation. State your nation. And if it's a fiction, then you're a savage.
Yep.
And you get savage treatment because you choose to not be part of the nations. And then start making up all this type of stuff to justify the fraudulent position that we take. Once you take that fraudulent position, you're a savage. That's why we're going to read today. We're going to take in this Charles Dickens because people want to be everything except Moors. Well, you want to be Aboriginal and Native American and Cherokee and all that stuff? All right, we'll go with that. Know that those are savages. Those aren't the Lord Nobles. Because if the savage is noble, it's not because it's a savage. It was obviously something before it became a savage. So if Charles Dickens is coming out and talking about, he's writing essays about this noble savage, know that you were nobles first before you became the savage, which we are right now, because we don't want to have nationality. We want to play black world orders because these people have new world order. We want to play fiction.
When Hakeem Bey told him,
if you have questions, ask them in all caps in the chat. Go ahead, Mark. I don't know
because Islam.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because remember, in the video years ago when Hakeem Bey said, the New World Order, that was a Moorish plan. So for them to come out and talk about some Black World Order, like, well, why don't you just go with the foundation?
Mm-hmm.
The foundation was the Moorish started the whole concept of a New World Order. Like, just go back to what your ancestors did, which were Moors.
Yeah.
but they still got to play these games. Still got to play these games. Because Hakeem Bey said it in his lecture. That wasn't no, no European plan for a new world. It was a divine plan for the new world order, for the Moors to do it. But again, because Grand Sheik, he always says, "Where were you in 08?" Everybody's so new, you know what I mean, and just I want to be the guy. It was so much stuff that they missed. They missed so much. It's like you missed so much things. Like the Hakeem, and that's old. That was in the 90s.
Yeah, that was old.
Or early 2000s or something like that. That's an old video.
Old.
Yeah, Hakeem Bey, a legend.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about him last night.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, shoot.
And now they're talking about a black world order. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's real. So this is the noble savage. The noble savage. To come to the point at once, I beg to say that I have not the least belief in the noble savage. I consider him a prodigious nuisance and an enormous superstition. His calling rum firewater and me a paleface wholly fail to reconcile me to him. I don't care what he calls me. I call him a savage, and I call a savage a something highly desirable to be civilized off the face of the earth. I think a mere gent, which I make to be the lowest form of civilization, better than a howling, whistling, clucking, stamping, jumping, tearing savage, and is all the one to me, whether he sticks to fishbone through his visage, or bits of trees through the lobes of his ears, or bird's feathers in his head, whether he flattens his hair between two boards, or spreads his nose over the breadth of his face, or drags his lower lip down to the great weights, or blackens his teeth, or knocks them out, or paints one cheek red and the other blue, or tattoos himself, or oils himself, or rubs his body with fat and crimps it with knives, yielding to whichsoever of these agreeable eccentricities, he is a savage, cruel, false, thievish, murderous, addicted more or less to grease, entrails, and beastly customs, a wild animal with the questionable gift of boasting, a conceited, tiresome, bloodthirsty, monotonous humbug. This is you. All you people who don't want to be Moors, but you want to be some Indian fiction. You want to be some Turtle Island fiction. You want to be some tribe. Instead of calling yourself who your ancient foremothers and forefathers call themselves. And when your own, like a autochthonous one, proclaims his nationality and says Ahanu El, and changes YouTube name and all that stuff, so you know it's Ahanu El now. And you still playing, you don't want to be Moors? You're definitely a savage. Because we know in the Aboriginal community, whatever like that, a autochthonous one was the man to them. He was the man.
Yep.
And what he say right before he jumped ship? Go ahead, more.
I was saying not Danny, so-called autogenous one. He was the guy because he was the one that was like every day bringing the facts to the contrary. But
Yeah.
only thing that was not only thing that was just different was his autogenous one, and then he proclaimed his nationality because all his works was Moorish. It was like, well, everything you prove is more. Like, all his works. He was another. He got the Hakeem Bey video on his channel.
Yeah.
Really, years ago he did that. Years ago. Yeah, that was one of his first videos before he even came on. That was when he came on with the sciences and more. And but he couldn't get them turncoats to get back, on nationality.
Not even.
He just he couldn't get them.
Hey, Hakeem Bey was like the Moorish Bobby Hemmett. For real. Cause he go deep on everything.
Yeah.
But Bobby Hemmett was a Bey.
Yeah, we know. You know what I mean, though. I mean, like, truly, he was active, but he wasn't active as a Moor. You know what I mean? So, he kind of straddled the fence.
Yeah. He didn't go full in.
Yeah, because and for especially for C. Freeman L to be his master teacher, like he shouldn't have lollygagged like that,
No, but that's how you know. That's how you know he knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he didn't hide that was his teacher.
Yeah.
Which should inspire people.
Reduce Muhammad Ali.
If they're on him like that, then you should be on his master teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you
and
be,
his master teacher is master teacher?
Yeah, why would you be a Hemmett fan but not ride with Hemmett's teacher?
Yeah.
And not study him? So you're just gonna study Hemmett, you're not gonna study his teacher?
Hey, and they gotta study the teacher's teacher. They gotta study C. Freeman L's teacher and C.M. Bay's teacher. And Nobody Ali's teacher.
Yep.
You feel me? Deuce Muhammad Ali's teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, got to keep going down that rabbit hole.
Yep. Somebody had asked in the chat talk about the pineal gland before we go back to the savages. The best example ever of the pineal gland. The best example ever of the pineal gland is get Layla Africa's book, Nutricide. And in Layla Africa's book, in Nutricide, it talks about the place in the brain that the pineal gland rests. They got close-up, a magnifying scope close-up of the pineal gland, and the pineal gland looked like a spaceship.
Oh, pretty much like a mushroom.
The energy of it. No, I'm talking about in Layla Africa's book.
Yeah, the dome of it would definitely look like a spaceship, though.
It was a spaceship. It was a light ship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shoot!
But it's called pineal because it does look like a penis, a penile, or it has that. That's why I say like a mushroom. It looks a lot like a mushroom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the mushroom top.
Yeah. And when it's stimulated, boom, seventh chakra.
Open that.
What's the name of the book again?
Nutricide.
Okay.
Nutricide.
By how you spell it, Tycho?
Layla Africa.
Oh, say your title again. Oh,
No,
okay,
mother.
okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
the holistic teacher there.
Yeah.
Layla Africa.
Mhm.
Africa with a K.
Yeah. Right, you don't want to be these savages. Get back to the point. All right. Yet it is extraordinary to observe how some people will talk about him as they talk about the good old times, how they will regret his disappearance in the course of this world's development from such and such lands where his absence is a blessed relief and an indispensable preparation for the sowing of the very first seeds of any influence that can exalt humanity. How even with the evidence of himself before them, they will either be determined to believe or will suffer themselves to be persuaded into believing that he is something which their five senses tell them he is not. There was Mr. Caitlin some few years ago with his Ojibwe Indians. Mr. Caitlin was an energetic, earnest man who had lived among more tribes of Indians than I need reckon up here, and who had written in picturesque and glowing book about them. With his party of Indians squatting and spitting on the table before him, or dancing their miserable jigs after their own dreary manner, he called it, in all good faith, upon his civilized audience to take notice of their symmetry and grace, their perfect limbs, and the exquisite expression of their pantomime. And his civilized audience, in all good faith, compiled and admired, whereas mere animals, they were wretched creatures, very low in the scale and very poorly formed. And as men and women possessing any power of truthful dramatic expression by means of action, they were no better than the chorus at the Italian opera in England, and would have been worse if such a thing were possible. Mine are no new views of the noble savage. The greatest writers on natural history found him out long ago. Buffon knew what he was and showed why he was in the sulky tyrant that he is to his women, and how it happens, heaven be praised, that his race is spare in numbers. For evidence of the quality of his moral nature, pass himself for a moment and refer to his faithful dog. Has he ever improved a dog or attached a dog since his nobility first ran wild in the woods and was brought down at a very long short by Pope? Or does the animal that is the friend of man always degenerate in his low society? It is not the miserable nature of the noble savage that is the new thing. It is the whimpering over him with maudlin admiration, and the affecting to regret him, and the drawing of any comparison of advantage between the blemishes of civilization and the tenor of his swinish life. There may be even a change now and then in those diseased absurdities, but there is none in him. Think of the Bushmen. Think of the two men and the two women who have been exhibited about England for some years. Are the majority of persons who remember the horrid little leader of that party in his fastering bundle of hides, and his filthy and his antipathy to water, and his straddled legs, his odious eyes shaded by his brutal hand, and his cry, "Wea," Bosnian for something desperately insulting, I have no doubt, conscious of an affectionate yearning towards that noble savage, or an idiosyncratic in me to abhor, detest, abominate, and abjure him? I have no reserve on this subject, and will frankly state that, setting aside that stage of the entertainment when he counterfeited the death of some creature he had shot by laying his head on his hand and shaking his left leg, at which time I think would have been justifiable homicide to slay him, I have never seen that group sleeping, smoking, or expectorating round their brazier, but I have sincerely desired that something might happen to charcoal smoldering therein, which would cause the immediate suffocation of the whole of the noble strangers. And this is all the stuff that their people are doing now to these same people, complaining about these people doing stuff to them, but they don't want to get out of the status that gets them treated like a savage and looked at as a savage and thought about as a savage. These peoples have a particular mindset at how they look at the savage. Now you want to put that in line, because the Negro, black, colored, whoever is going to think that they're going to get away. So we're going to go back again to Peter Botha talking to his cabinet in South Africa about how they feel about the black people. Which, look at the parallel of how they think of these people that they classify as savages, and ask yourself, why would you, knowing that this is how they deal with particular people who they put in a certain status, why would you agree to be that status that you know they're not going to have any respect or honor for? Like, man, keep in mind, this is parallel this with what they're saying, what Charles Dickens is saying about the Indian. We do not pretend, like other whites, that we like blacks. The fact that blacks look like human beings and act like human beings does not necessarily make them sensible human beings. Hedgehogs are not porcupines, and lizards are not crocodiles simply because they look alike. If God wanted us to be equal to blacks, he would have created us all of a uniform color and intellect. But he created us differently. Whites, blacks, yellow, rulers, and the ruled. Intellectually, we are superior to the blacks. That has been proven beyond any reasonable doubt over the years. I believe that the Afrikaner is an honest, God-fearing person who has demonstrated practically the right way of being. Nevertheless, it is comforting to know that behind the scenes, Europe, America, Canada, Australia, and all others are behind us, in spite of what they say. For diplomatic relations, we all know what language should be used and where. To prove my point, comrades, does any one of you know a white country without an investment or interest in South Africa? Who buys our gold? Who buys our diamonds? Who trades with us? Who is helping us develop other nuclear weapons? The truth is that we are their people and they are our people. It's a big secret. The strength of our economy is backed by America, Britain, and Germany. It is our strong conviction, therefore, that the black man is the raw material of the white man. So, brothers and sisters, let us join hands together to fight against this black devil. I appeal to all Afrikaners to come out with any creative means of fighting this war. Surely, God cannot forsake his own people whom we are. But now, every one of us has seen it practically that the blacks cannot rule themselves. Give them guns, they will kill each other. They are good in nothing else but making noise, dancing, marrying many wives, and indulging in sex. Let us all accept that the black man is the symbol of poverty, mental inferiority, laziness, and emotional incompetence. Isn't it plausible, therefore, that the white man is created to rule the black man? Come to think of what would happen one day if you woke up on the throne sat a kafir. Can you imagine what would happen to our women? Does any one of you believe that the blacks can rule this country? This South African guy talking. And South African, European colonizer, is talking the same way that The American European colonizer is talking, and both of them are talking about the same savage who, again, when we go back, they tell you, it is all one to me, whether he sticks a fishbone through his visage, or bits of trees through his lobes of his ears, or bird feathers in his head. Isn't it a bird feather the noble Jew Ali has coming out the turban? Whether he flattens his hair between two boards, is now what women are doing today, or spreads his nose over the breadth of his face. You know any Indians with nose going across their face like that? People that call themselves Indians? If you're talking about the same people. The African here is talking about they don't like the blacks is no different than the British and the Spanish and whoever else that came over here talking about they don't like these Indians. They don't like these barbarians. These heathens. They're talking about the same people all over the planet. This is the mindset of these people. So if their mindset is like this towards something, someone, and they put a negative name on this thing or this individual, so their whole people, whether Britain, America, German, French, Dutch, or whatever like that, they know, oh yeah, you see people talking like that, see people dressed like that, see people whatever like that, they're a savage. Why would you call yourself that thing? Why would you call yourself the thing that they called it? Who just think they're talking about Indians? Charles Dickens killing the Indian. He's nothing. All that's good for them is death. All they do is sleep and smoke. They don't do anything. They're just savages. All they do is dancing and jumping up and down the place like a faithful dog. But you're not going to hear what Moore is saying. You're going to listen to people tell you that you're Indians. It's a lot more. I don't know if you have anything to add. You're not hearing me.
Saying.
It's a lot more.
You know, I don't know. And I think, can you hear me, Grand Sheik?
Yo, you just started hearing you right now. We didn't hear anything that you said. It was just dead air. Just started hearing you. You're not hearing you again.
I was just agreeing. Okay, Islam. I was just agreeing to everything that you were saying. Yeah, see, it keeps. I don't. All right, hold on.
It's playing. You could do old school if they're playing games. I know they're gonna try.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam.
We're in.
Yeah, let me just get closer to the router. But I was just agreeing to everything you were saying, Grand Sheik. I wasn't saying much. Right. I was just saying Islam in the background. Yep. Islam.
Right. There is at present a party of Zulu Kafirs exhibiting at the St. George Gallery, Hyde Park Corner, London. These noble savages are representable in a most agreeable manner. They are seen in an elegant theater, fitted with appropriate scenery of great beauty, and they are described in a very sensible and unpretending lecture, delivered with a modesty which is quite a pattern to all similar exponents. Though extremely ugly, they are much better shaped than such of their predecessors I have referred to, and they are rather picturesque to the eye, though far from odoriferous to the nose. What a visitor left to his own interpretings and imaginings might suppose these noblemen to be about when they gave vent to that pantomimic expression which is quite settled to be the natural gift of the noble savage, I cannot possibly conceive, for it is so much too luminous for my personal civilization that it conveys no idea to my mind beyond a general stamping, ramping, and raving, remarkable for its dire uniformity. But let us, with the interpreter's assistance, of which I for one stand so much in need, see what the noble savage does in Zulu Kafirland. The noble savage sets a king to reign over him, to whom he submits his life and limbs without a murmur or question, and whose whole life is passed chin deep in a lake of blood, but who after killing incessantly is in his turn killed by his relations and friends, the moment a gray hair appears on his head. All the noble savage's wars with his fellow savages, and he takes no pleasure in anything else, are wars of extermination, which is the best thing I know of him, and the most comfortable to my mind when I look at him. He has no moral feelings of any kind, sort, or description, and his mission may be summed up as simply diabolical. The ceremonies with which he faintly diversifies his life are, of course, of a kindred nature. If he wants a wife, he appears before the kennel of the gentleman whom he has selected for his father-in-law, attended by a party of male friends of a very strong flavor, who screech and whistle and stamp an offer of so many cows for his young lady's hand. The chosen father-in-law, also supported by a high-flavored party of male friends, screeches, whistles, and yells, being seated on the ground he can't stamp. And there never was such a daughter in the market as his daughter, and that he must have 6 more cows. The son-in-law and his select circle of backers screech, whistle, stamp, and yell in reply that they will give 3 more cows. The father-in-law, an old deluder, overpaid at the beginning, accepts 4 and raises to bind the bargain. The whole party, the young lady included, then falling into epileptic convulsions and screeching, whistling, stamping, and yelling together, and nobody taking any notice of the young lady whose charms are not to be thought of without a shudder, the noble savage is considered married, and his friends make demoniacal leaps at him by way of congratulation. Remember, this is their view of how they're looking at the Zulus and how they do their rituals, and saying that's more civilized than these savages over here that we got to deal with. That they're going to take epileptic convulsions and whistling and stamping and yelling and screeching, when that might not have been the sounds that they were even making. That's just with their limited pineal, their limited melanin in their ears, their limited melanin in their brain. How they perceive things that are foreign to them are not going to be in its right perspective. Because guarantee right now, if we go talk to some Zulus right now, they'll be like, nah, that's BS. We don't do nothing like that. I don't know what this guy's talking about. But then when you talk to them, the Zulus aren't going to be saying that they're Kafirs. Yeah, we're Zulu Kafirs. They're not going to say that. They're going to say that we're savages. They're going to call themselves by who they know that they are and who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were. And it's not going to be some fiction. Now keep in mind, the parallel that this is how they're looking at the Africans, this is how they're looking at the Indians, and this is how they're looking at the blacks. And then those same people who are looked at messed up are going to take the messed up identity as who they are and want to know how come they're getting treated messed up. And the little pittance of remedy or whatever that they get, they're parading around with it as if they got something. Because they could vote or some BS. However, we are doing the best we can to make sure that the stuff remains strictly in our hands. Secondly, most blacks are vulnerable to money inducements. I have set aside a special fund to exploit this venue. The old trick of divide and rule is still very valid today. Our experts should work day and night to set the black man against his fellow man. His inferior sense of morals can be exploited beautifully. And here is a creature that lacks foresight. There is a need for us to combat him in long-term projections that he cannot suspect. The average black does not plan his life beyond a year. That stance, for example, should be exploited. My special department is already working around the clock to come out with a long-term operation blueprint. I am also sending a special request to all Afrikaner mothers to double their birth rate. It may be necessary too to set up a population boom industry by putting up centers where we employ and support full white young men and women to produce children for the nation. We are also investigating the merit of uterus rentals as a possible means of speeding up the growth of our population through surrogate mothers. This is where they're at with it. And our people want to play dead status, not recognizing and realizing that once you call yourself the dead status, there's already a plan in place of how you're going to be dealt with. There's already a plan in place. Right? Keep calling yourself these fictions. That they don't have a plan for you. And not only that they have a plan for you, the plan is being implemented on you right now. For the time being, we should also engage a higher gear and make sure that the black men are separated from their women, and fines imposed upon married wives who bear illegitimate children. Isn't that the whole children's services racket?
Say that again. Read that again.
For the time being.
And the uterus rentals part is the crazy too.
Oh yeah, we'll go back up there. My special department is already working round the clock to come out with a long-term operation blueprint. I am also sending a special request to all Africanair mothers to double their birth rate. It may be necessary too to set up a population boom industry by putting up centers where we employ and support fully white young men and women to produce children for the nation. We are also investigating the merit of uterus rentals as a possible means of speeding up the growth of our population through surrogate mothers. From the time being, we should also engage a higher gear to make sure that Black men are separated from their women and fines imposed upon married wives who bear illegitimate children. I have a committee working on finding better methods of inciting Blacks against each other and encouraging murders among themselves. Murder cases among Blacks should bear very little punishment in order to encourage them. Murder cases among Blacks should bear very little punishment in order to encourage them. My scientists have come up with a drug that can be smuggled into their brews to effect slow poisoning results and fertility destruction. Working through drinks and manufacturing of soft drinks geared to Blacks could promote the channels of reducing their population. Working through drinks and manufacturing of soft drinks geared to the Blacks. It's not geared to anybody else. Could promote the channels of reducing their population. Ours is not a war that can use the atomic bomb to destroy the Blacks. So we must use our intelligence to affect this. The person-to-person encounter can be very effective. As the results show that the Black man is dying to go to bed with the white woman. Here is our unique opportunity. Our sex mercenary squad should go out and camouflage with apartheid fighters while doing their operations quietly administering slow-killing poison and fertility destroyers to those Blacks that they thus befriend. We are modifying the sex mercenary squad by introducing white women who should go for the militant Black woman and any other vulnerable Black woman. We have received a new supply of prostitutes from Europe and America who are desperate and too keen to take up the appointments. My last appeal is that the maternity hospital operations should be intensified. We are not paying those people to help bring Black babies to this world to eliminate them on the very delivery moment. If this, we are not paying those people to help bring Black babies to this world, but to eliminate them on the very delivery moment.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
My government has set aside a special fund for erecting more covert hospitals and clinics to promote this program. Money can do anything for you. So while we have it, which means they're probably not going to have it. Right? So while we have it, we should make the best use of it. In the meantime, my beloved white Christians, do not take to heart what the world says, and don't be ashamed of being called racist. I do not mind being called the architect and king of apartheid. I shall not become a monkey simply because someone has called me a monkey. I shall not become a monkey simply because someone has called me a monkey. But your dumbass is going to be a savage because somebody called you a savage.
Yeah, yeah.
Islam more.
Islam Moors. Yeah, this is just showing the times we're in, and
Yep.
not any clearer now. I don't know. Like just riding the fence, you got to know where you stand in this, because there's an effort always to keep those the Moors who have the light within them, to keep us in ignorance and just wandering around like the dead. So
Actually, let me ask you this, because you're a Moor that's just coming into the information.
mhm.
How did you make? What made you come to the realization that? Hold on a second. I'm not all these other stuff. I'm L. I'm Bay. My ancestors were Moors.
Well, it's not an overnight thing, of course. Just reading and also seeing, from my firsthand experience living, traveling a lot in my younger days, I was able to see things from like multiple angles, but firsthand. So you could see like where the indoctrination was going around. All these different things weren't adding up, like what I was learning in school and why the way in which life is. It just didn't make sense. So I had to detox all of these false notions and really trust all of these subtle signs too, because the first thing too, nature is the biggest teacher. Once you look around, you don't see animals quarreling, they're just being themselves. So the more and more I started to just see life from different angles, it's just common sense.
Islam.
Islam.
If anybody else out there realize that they're not a savage, push the link. How do you figure it out? Because I keep hearing people talking this stuff about meet the people where they're at and all that. If they're savage and we meet them where they're at, wouldn't that mean we're savage? So why don't we be more than a savage? Why don't we be more than a savage? So at least the people have something to look up to, opposed to something to look at. Don't let these people have you believe that we're the savage. We're not the savage. And we're not the savage because we weren't called savage names. And that's been the play. The play has been to get us to agree to the savage names. And then we get treated like a savage because of the names we call ourselves that are savage, but we don't see it from that perspective. Back to the noble savage. When the noble savage finds himself a little unwell and mentions the circumstance to his friends, it is immediately perceived that he is under the influence of witchcraft. A learned personage called an imanier or witch doctor is immediately sent for to the nooker the Umatgarati, or to smell out the witch. The male inhabitants of the kraal begin seating on the ground. The learned doctor, got up like a grizzly bear, appears and administers a dance of the most terrific nature, during the exhibition of which remedy he incessantly gnashes his teeth and howls. I am the original physician to Nooker. No connection with any other establishment. All other targetaries are feigned, but I perceive here a genuine and real, in whose blood I, the original Imyanger and Nooker, will wash these bear's claws of mine. All this time the learned physician is looking out among the attentive faces of some unfortunate man who owes him a cow, or who has given him any small offense, or against whom, without offense, he has conceived a spite. Him he never fails to Nooker, and he is instantly killed. In the absence of such an individual, the usual practice is to Nooker the quietest and most gentlemanly person in company, but the Nookering is invariably followed on the spot by the butchering. Some of the noble savages in whom Mr. Caitlin was so strongly interested, and the diminution of whose numbers by rum and smallpox greatly affected him, had a custom not unlike this, though much more appalling and disgusting in its odious details. The woman being at work in the fields, hoeing the Indian corn, and the noble savage being asleep in the shade, the chief has sometimes the condescension to come forth and lighten the labor by looking at it. On these occasions, he seats himself in his own savage chair and is attended by a shield bearer who holds over his head a shield of cowhide in the shape of an immense mussel shell, fearfully and wonderfully after the manner of a theatrical supernumeracy. But lest the great man should forget his greatness in the contemplation of the humble works of agriculture, there suddenly rushes in a poet, retained for the purpose, called a praiser. This literary gentleman wears a leopard's head over his own, and a dress of tiger's nails. He has the appearance of having some express on his hind legs from the zoological gardens, and he incontinently strikes up the chief's praises, plunging and tearing all the while. There is a frantic wickedness in this brute's manner of worrying the air and gnashing out. Oh, what a delightful chief he is! Oh, what a delicious quantity of blood he sheds! Oh, how majestically he laps it up! Oh, how charmingly cruel he is! Oh, how he tears the flesh of his enemies and crushes the bones! Oh, how like the tiger and the leopard and the wolf and the bear he is! How fond I am of him, which might tempt the society of friends to charge at a hand gallop to the Swartzkopf location to exterminate the whole kraal. When war is afoot among the noble savages, which is always, the chief holds a council to ascertain whether it is the opinion of his brothers and friends in general that the enemy shall be exterminated. On this occasion, After the performance of an umbweza or war song, which is exactly like all the other songs, the chief makes a speech to his brothers and friends arranging in a single file. No particular order is observed during delivery of the address, but every gentleman who finds himself excited by the subject, instead of crying "Hear, hear," as is the custom with us, darts from the rank and tramples out of the life, or crushes the skull, or mashes the face, or scoops out the eyes, or breaks the limbs, or performs a whirlwind of atrocities on the body. If an imaginary enemy, every gentleman becomes this excited at once, and pounding away without the least regard to the orator, that illustrious person is rather in the position of an orator in the Irish House of Commons. But several of these scenes of savage life bear a strong generic resemblance to an Irish election, and I think would be extremely well received and understood at Cork. This is how they view you, savage. This is how they view you, savage. Because you don't want to know and be who your ancient foremothers and forefathers were and are. And people are going to have you do everything in your power to turn away from your ancient foremothers and forefathers' mindset. And have your mindset in the state of a savage. That's how they look at savages. And the savages in 2021 are the people who call themselves everything but the ancient foremothers and forefathers. Because everybody knows the ancient foremothers and forefathers are Moors.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Right? If you have anything else, put it in the chat. Or push the link. I want it to be clear. Absolutely clear. The people who we call our enemy, they have a mindset of how they see us. If you are not taking the position of honoring your foremothers and forefathers, they're going to look at you like a savage. And that's not because of them and them being racist and prejudiced and they don't like you and all that stuff. It's because of you calling yourself that your ancient foremothers and forefathers didn't call themselves. Because these people called our enemy had relations with our ancient foremothers and forefathers, and they know exactly who they are. And we know that it's European psychology for them to say, we're black, we're Indian. The Hebrew Israelites of the Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science Temple, no, this is a nationality. This is not an organization or association or a building. When other nations step up, you don't say, oh, that's a religion. What kind of religion is that? How come when Moors say nationality, you start talking about religion? People are playing games. Don't let them play games with you. because you will be in the jurisdiction of a savage, and you're going to be sorry when they start treating you how you're calling yourself. You'll be sorry. Play these little games that you want to play, but know that if you take the side of being a savage, that's what they're gonna treat you like. And it's not gonna be because of them. It's gonna be because of you. And we were told that we're not Negro, black, colored, that we're Moors. We were told that. You want to be everything but your ancient forefathers and forefathers? No problem. Just know that these people have a certain way that they deal with individuals who call themselves anything but what they know their forefathers and forefathers were. What is a nation? How would like minds prepared to sacrifice build one? There's nothing to build. We are already a nation. Every landmass on the planet that has dark-skinned people on it have a direct tie to the ancient Canaanites, Moabites, Hittites, Amalekites. All the different foremothers and forefathers that had all these different names were all dark-skinned people.
And just to add on to that.
Say it again?
Yeah, just to add on to that, because when I was living in corporate Jamaica at the time, you even see it on the seal that it says out of many one people. And when I even look back at it now, I have a whole different perspective, you know? So once you study history now, you could see how they made that claim in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And how they're really it's like leaving breadcrumbs, but we just have this just seeing things too divided and not from a grander perspective, you know, like just looking at the whole globe, not just one area.
Mm-hmm. So like we had uploaded earlier today on this channel, that if we're talking nation, then we're talking about unity. And if we're talking about unity, then we have to be talking about an estate. If we're not talking about an estate, you're not talking about unity. I don't care how much people come together. I don't care how many people go wear out their sneakers, marching up and down the place, burning gas to go travel across the town, go meet up with whatever like that. If the people who are meeting up don't have a nationality which ties them to a nation, then that's not unity. That's just a hangout. That's just a party. It's a blocko. Has nothing to do with nation building, because they're savages. Savages coming together to build does not create a nation. Only nationals coming together to build create nations. And those nationals who are coming together to build better be of the same mind. And once they're of the same mind, then there's going to be no issue. The problem is that our people don't know the full scope. We like to know half. We like to know half and think we know something. Unity. Oh yeah, we're going to meet over there. And that means that there's unity. No, it doesn't. That doesn't mean unity. Unity means you're part of an estate. You are in joint tenancy. Nationality ties you to a nation. We know the red flag with the green 5-point star belongs to a nation. It's flying in the UN right now. Dumb people think that flag belongs to some people who adopted it in 1956. But that flag's been around for 10,000 years. So how is it only relative to the people who just got it in 1956? And then how come nobody else uses it? Because the people whose flag it is have gone sleep, and now they call themselves savage. Negro, black, colored, African, and all these fictions. That if they would honor their foremothers and forefathers, they realize the red flag is a very old flag. If not the second oldest flag. And the flag before that was a white flag because, you know, that's the peace colors. That's the we mean no harm colors. See, well, the savage part is an assignment given by them who have no natural authority. So NBC is invisible. Remember that there's no NBC. That's a fiction. The NBC are Moors. There's no NBC. There's no Negro, black, colored. There's no Indians. Those are fictions. Those don't exist. The actual name of those people are Moors. But if they want to call themselves NBC and all the other stuff, they're not invisible. They're very visible. That's why they could murder them in the street. But I get what you're saying with them being invisible. It means that they're not seen. They get run over. They get run over by a truck, and nobody cares. I get you. Islam more. I see you're still up.
Islam, all the Moors.
Islam more.
Islam, brother Eon. Islam, brother Yusuf.
Cool. You're doing the apples right now.
Islam.
Yeah, I was just chiming in. I've been listening the whole time, really. And just got me thinking about, you know, what's in a word and what's in a, you know, what's in a name and whatnot. And a lot of our people say, well, you know, this is just a word and that is just a word.
Yo, sorry, you're kind of low. You can speak up, or I don't know if you're lying down right now.
Is this better?
Your sexy voice and thing.
Yeah, no, is this better? Am I better now? Yeah, you know, just saying how, you know, people say it's just a word and whatnot. The thing about it is, the one thing that I think about is if you know, a lot of our people say that they're high scientists or whatever, and they're magicians and whatnot. If specific words aren't important, then why do people use affirmations and stuff like that, right? And if they're doing spells and whatnot, you can't, if you're doing a spell and you know, doing rituals or whatever, you can't use the wrong words. You can't, because then it doesn't work. Like with spells and stuff like that, there's a specific time of day, you know, especially when you get into the higher sciences, like there's a specific time of day when you do stuff, and specific hour as well. And the incantation, the deity or whatever that you're calling upon, you can't pronounce their name incorrectly, because then you know, that deity, whoever you're calling on, is not gonna come to your aid. So when our people talking about, you know, it doesn't matter what you call yourself and so on and so forth, you know, you're supposed to be, you know, if we're supposed to be high scientists, that can't be the mentality that you have. Everything is precision. So it doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense.
Mhm.
Especially when you're, you know, you're going, you want to do stuff to change your life. If it doesn't, like, you know, going back to the affirmations, if it doesn't matter what you say, then, you know, your affirmations just say, you know, you know, just say a whole bunch of negative stuff in affirmations if it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Why have positive affirmations?
Yeah, exactly. You know, words don't matter according to certain people, right? So yeah, it's just a little bit ridiculous with this. Yeah, with that I yield.
Islam, super ridiculous.
Yeah.
Islam.
Islam, what?
No, just to add on to what Brother Sheldon was saying, years ago, and I remember in middle school, drawing so-called Chinese letters at the time, like on your notepads and stuff, was like a little thing at my school. So everybody was drawing so-called Chinese letters. So I remember I was drawing a Chinese letter thinking it meant a word, right? So I'm trying to make the so-called Chinese letter or symbol look even more, you know, than what it is, you know, adding what I wanted to add to it to make it seem what it was. And my friend next to me, he was like, yo, you can't do that. And I'm looking at him like, why not? He was like, because now it doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. And, you know, now I'm looking at it like with Brother Shut, like, that's the importance of a word. Like, now we have done that in our time now. Like, we've done that, like with the term black, with with different terms. Like, in our so-called language, or what, or, you know, what we speak, we've added on to it, like what I did to the so-called Chinese letters, because we wanted to amp up and make it look more than how I wanted it to look. But like my friend said, you just changed the whole thing. Now it doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. And I was like, well, I remember learning that, just drawing on my notebook, using Chinese, so-called Chinese words, just adding another little line. It just changes the whole word. And that's exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah, it's like
Salam, I yield the floor. I just wanted to add that to Brother Tony.
Yeah, appreciate that. That has me thinking too, because it's there's a time and a place for everything, and the context is one of the most important things, if not. So even in like a recipe, you're not just gonna put random ingredients, just throw them in there, because it's gonna mess up the intention that you're putting in the first place. And if you don't know the process of how to do it, you're just gonna get a cake that just is flat or whatever, or just soggy, and then you can't eat it properly, so you have to throw it away. So when you're using these words and not understanding the origin of it, the science behind it, what you're doing, you're just making some Frankenstein experiment at this point, where you just there's no precision, like what Brother Sheldon was saying. I yield.
Yeah, Islam. Like I mean, I got stories of this too. Like my mother, I remember my mother she was telling me the story how she went to see a master of the Key of Solomon. And if any of y'all know, the Key of Solomon is one of the highest forms of magic that you could do. So she went to see a master of the key, for some information, and when she went into like the room that he was in, his back was turned to her, and he was doing something, and he said, okay, I need you to take that first candle that's by the door, light it, and then the 12 candles that are on the wall, from that first candle, drop one drop of wax in each of the candles, and then light them, the 12 candles that are on the wall. And when you're done that, then we'll begin. And his back was turned the whole time. And so she started, and she messed up on like the fifth or sixth candle. She put 2 drops in there. And the master said, I told you to put 1 drop in, so you need to start over. And his back was turned. He never turned around to see what she was doing. He just knew. So all that to say, that's how precise stuff has to be when you start dealing with like spells and so on and so forth. So you can't just come haphazard and just say, well, you know what I mean, like this means that, and I changed the meaning and so on and so forth. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, I just wanted to add on to that. And I got more examples of that as well. That I yield.
So, any more comments, Morris? Anybody in the chat? In the chat got anything? Again, links right there. Links right there if you got any questions, comments. Push the button. If you don't want to push the button, it's okay. You get it. You can just ask your question in the chat. And if you don't want to do that, then I don't know. Then can't do nothing for you, man. You paid 10 grand for what? Can't do nothing for you, man.
Oh, I just wanted to add one more thing too.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
You were talking about, you mentioned, you know, the saying of meeting people where they are. What's interesting about that comment is when I first got onto this information, was it like 10 years ago or whatever it was? And I started listening to videos and stuff like that, and watching YouTube videos and whatnot. I just kept hearing Kemet, and I had no idea what Kemet was. Until I watched enough videos to realize, oh, okay, they're talking about, I guess that's the name for Egypt or something like that. So I was still on the information of Egypt, but then because I kept hearing this word, and you know what I mean? And I didn't really ask, like I just kept hearing it, and then I figured it out. So that's almost like, that's not meeting me where I was. That's something that I never heard before. And then I had to bring up my knowledge type of thing to comprehend it. Or another example is when you're hooping, and I'm pretty sure like anybody who hoops has gone through this or something like that. When you're hooping outdoors or whatever, and there's this one court where all the best hoopers play and stuff, and you're not at that level at all, but you want to get better. And so you go to this court and you get your ass beat. You know what I mean? And these players are yelling at you and embarrassing you and stuff like that, and you're getting your ass beat. And you're all embarrassed, and you go back home and you feel bad about yourself. But what do? You want it bad enough, so you work really, really hard, and then you keep going back, and you figure out a way to get better. They're not lowering their game for you. When rookies get to the NBA and they're playing against veterans or you know, players that have been in the league for X amount of years, they're not taking it easy on you. Right? You need to step up your game. So I mean, to a certain extent, I kind of get it. Like, are you meeting them where you are with information? But I mean, like, come on, man. Like, you know, you need to step up. And it's like that in all sports. You know what I mean? And that's how it was for me with the information. And then also with the whole Moorish thing too. It was like Asir is the one who told me to, you know, to look around and stuff like that. And I mean, nobody like, now, okay, well, nobody's talking about that black stuff or whatever. No, you gotta learn it right away, and then you learn it quicker that way. You know, pull me up, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
That I yield.
Islam Wars. Any other comments? Oh, we gotta put this one out there for Mars. Don't forget, in our world, don't remember, you never heard this from anybody else. We're the only ones that say this. If you're asking questions in the chat, put it in all caps so it doesn't get lost in the 81 people leaving comments. If you have any questions, put it in all caps. So one question, Islam more.
Islam more.
One question we got, how should we apply for jobs in procurement? How should we apply for jobs in Prepare Persona or leave the artificial person? Thanks for the time. So depending on the job, because some jobs, they don't care. They'll just take whatever name you give them. And they'll pay you cash under the table, and they're not doing any paperwork or anything like that. So you're not going to have issues. But if you apply for certain jobs, you're going to have a bank account. You're going to have certain things for them to put the money in there because they don't give checks and whatever like that. So, or you could do, you know, like other Moors and, you know, have your own business. There's a lot more work in that. And you're not getting paid every 2 weeks like how you would with a job or whatever. But there's also that, and that you could do in proper persona. But when you say how to apply for jobs, it depends on the job that you're applying for. If you have a trade, I would say start your own business. Because you can't even go into a building right now because of COVID. So, you know, jobs like that right now. Right? And again, if you want to work in Prepare Persona, it's probably best to work for yourself. And then if you can't, or you're not ready and you want to do something to sort of start getting your foot in the door, start reserving your rights on anything that you sign having to do with that artificial person name that you've been using. Just whatever, anytime somebody says sign here, reserve your rights. Anything you sign and everything you sign. If you're using a name that you know is not your name, then you better reserve your rights. And you do that by writing all rights reserved on the signature line and then sign over the all rights reserved with whatever that signature is. Or you could do like some Moors, go to Staples or whatever, get a stamp, and anytime you got to sign, you just stamp it and then sign over that. How do I begin to teach my son how to be great and strong man in this era of distress and know that he will be okay after I leave this world? Islam, Brother Yusuf. I know you did some numbers. Raquel could probably talk on this one too.
Islam.
How do I begin to teach my son how to be a great, strong man in this era of distress? That's the question for the fathers out there.
Yeah, you gotta teach them. You gotta show them the basics. You know, need the 101, the questionnaire, and the circle
There we
7.
go.
That's what, and then a basic third 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 grade degree. You could say that. I mainly came on because I noticed, there's a lot of Canaanland Moors on this chat today.
So get in there.
The energy in there,
Yeah,
Islam to the Moors.
Islam. Brother Yusuf, you got anything to add? I know you got something to add.
Yep. Islam to Raquel. Islam, boy. Islam. I'm basically disagreeing with everything he's saying, because that's the first thing I started off with my son was the one-on-one questionnaire. That was the one thing. I mean, when the so-called schools was open, when we was at the bus stop every morning, that's what we went over every morning. One-on-one questionnaire every morning, and it was repetitive. Like he already knew, and I noticed too. Like just the regular basics that we just overlook, like good words of encouragement. Telling our children we love them and stuff like that, and showing it to them. Like I noticed too. That helps a lot. Helps a lot because my like everybody says like my son is like amazing. You know what I mean? But I think it's just because of the love that he gets from his parents at home. You know what I mean? Like that's the number one thing too. But and then them having he has his culture. Because now he has his principles, his 5 principles. Like he knows. Instead of like when us growing up, our principles was go to church. Instead, like he knows, like, okay, I have 5 principles that I have to honor. You know what I mean? Like whole different foundation. And like Raquel said, going on Canaanland Moors. Like my son's always listening to class. Like he asks me, like, "Oh, Daddy, when the last time you did class?" Because he's listening. So good words of encouragement and letting them be around when when we're doing classes like this, or just letting him listen to old classes because they're always watching us. So Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam. All right. And there you have it. And it's that simple. What about state licenses? Same thing. If you have a state license, reserve your rights on it. Start there. Start with recognizing that all these things that you sign is a contract. And since it's a contract, you should want to protect your rights. Just like Nike is going to protect their rights and they're going to trademark their logo so nobody can use it and make 50 million. And whoever else is going to trademark whatever or copyright whatever so that nobody can play around and steal their stuff. So with anything that comes up to signature, reserve your rights on it in order to protect yourself later. Because if it's a contract and it's done by some colonists, more than likely it's a adhesion contract and it's going to come back and get you later, some way, shape, or form. So you better protect yourself engaging in contracts with these foreigners in your land. Because they're going to be doing their foreigner thing. They're going to be doing their foreigner thing. So since they're going to do their thing, you just make sure you do your thing, protect yourself.
They're going to be doing their foreigner thing.
You already know how they do. What is this Moorish stuff? Sick and tired of this.
Yeah. I'm just
Sick
tired
and
of you
tired of
more.
Moors.
Yep. Yep.
Moors. Sick of you Moors.
Damn Moors.
Damn Moors.
Yep.
Damn Moors. Can't stand you.
You're going here every day.
Why you little? Dear Bart choking they want to do to the Moors. Islam to all the Moors. Oh, question. I'm a woman. What is the one-on-one questionnaire? Oh, good question. So there's a man by the name of Noble Drew Ali. And Noble Drew Ali presented us with some literature. One of the pieces of the literature is called the 101 Questionnaire for Moorish Children. It's also known as Quran Questions. And it's 101 questions that are question and answer dealing with a variety of topics, right? You could just Google it up, Noble Drew Ali 101 Questionnaire, it'll come up, right? If you want the book form, you can go to rvbaypublications.com, khalifamedia.com, and just look up 101 Questionnaire and it'll be there. So the interesting thing with the 101 Questionnaire is that the 101, so there's actually 101 questions in it. Right? But that's not the only reason why. It's also called 101 because this is your introductory. Right? This is your introductory. You know, physics 101, whatever 101. It's Quran questions 101. So this is the beginning. This is where you should be starting. You're not supposed to start with trust and all that stuff. Start at 101. And then you get to 501 and 601 or whatever. You get 501, 601, you don't know 101, 501 and 601 is going to be useless to you, right? Not only that, it's also one-on-one because it's question and answer, and it's Drew Ali and you one-on-one. You and Drew Ali in the office, and then you asking questions, and then he's giving you the answer. And then you asking questions, and then he give you the answer. And then you're taking your little notes, and then all the answers are your notes that he gave you, that you're going to take that stuff, and then you're going to go study. And then that's going to have you lost for 20 years because of him just doing that. Just by him doing that, giving you the questions and the answers, and then you taking those, you're not just stuck on the answer that he just gave you the answer. Oh yeah, the answer came from Noble Drew Ali. Who praise is due to Allah? We got the answer, and then you just leave it at that. No, you're gonna take that, and then you're gonna go do some further research on the stuff that you just got from Noble Drew Ali, one-on-one. You and him, you know, chilling together, and he's talking to you. Because Drew Ali said he's gonna go to the soul plane to do work. Because can't get it done on the earth plane because his job was done here. Right. Any other Moors got any addition on to what is the 101? What is the 101 questionnaire?
Yeah, it's a gateway, so it's just gonna open up like the floodgates now. Once you realize how deep this goes, you know, and then you just lock yourself in your room from there, you know. You,
Oh yeah, and that you said that you're a woman. On the cover of the 101, there's a picture of Noble Drew Ali holding you. And Noble Drew Ali is holding you, and you're unconscious in his arms. And humanity is written on your womb. And Noble Drew Ali has 1 foot in the cares of the world, and then he has one foot on the solid rock of salvation. And then when they talk about, a picture tells 1,000 words, right? So the picture, the cover, is letting you know that by the time you get to the back, she is not going to be in his arms unconscious anymore. Because she would have got her one-on-one with Noble Drew Ali, which he's a prophet or an angel of Allah, and he would be talking to her while the child's in the womb, so that the child's going to come out of the womb with this knowledge already, because his mom, while he was pregnant in the womb, or she was in the womb, their mom was reading the 101 questionnaire. So they're coming out the womb with this information. And then at that point, humanity would be uplifting, hence the theme of the Moorish movement, uplifting fallen humanity. Because once we raise mother, mother is going to raise the child in the womb, because she's going to have knowledge herself. So obviously the child will be born with knowledge of his or herself when they get to the earth plane. Noble Drew Ali was actually looking out for you, 101. Noble Drew Ali was looking out for you so that you can get everything together in your womb. Right? Anybody else got anything to add with 101 questionnaire? I see there's one more question in there. Right, it's like everybody's good. Do Moors have restrictive law? Okay, so with restrictive law, it's sort of, there's sort of multiple levels when you look at restrictive law, because restrictive law also goes into employment. So if we're talking about we're a nation, right? If we're talking about we're a nation, then we wouldn't really have restrictive laws like that, because there's no hierarchy like that. Because in a nation, the people are who run stuff. There's no employer. There's representatives of the people, but there's nobody who's above the people that's going to say, oh yeah, the people, you need to do this or whatever like that, right? Which would wear this restrictive whatever. And then that's the same thing with religion. That restrictive laws in religion would be, what head of the whatever says the congregation has to do. That's not where it's at as far as the restrictive laws. But when you talk about rules and regulations or something like that, right, then we're automatically going to universal laws. And then universal laws is a broad jurisdiction. Right? There's absolutely broad jurisdiction. Because if you're really on your game, astrologically, the restriction that we would get from Saturn and Mercury retrograde and stuff like that, you'll be able to avoid them, which would mean that they're not restricting you. Saturn restricts you if you get caught in the ring, the hamster wheel, right? The spinning stuff. right? The spinning, right? Saturn, then there's spinning, and then the hamster wheel, and then running the hamster wheel, the thing spins just like the ring around Saturn. Which is the restricting. If you don't go on the hamster wheel, you're not going to have issues with being restricted by Saturn. And again, that goes into go pull your tarot on certain days, go check black box days and whatever like that. Have your particular calendar that shows all the different moons so you know what to do, what not to do, when not to do. And then that way you're not restricted by those energies. Only ignorance keeps people restricted. Like when they say retrograde, and then people say, "Oh my God, retrograde! What am I gonna do?" No, you already know it's a retrograde, so certain things you're just not supposed to be doing automatically. It's not even a question. As soon as you're retrograde, up, shut the thing down. We're not doing anything until this stuff's over. It's when you start trying to get in it, you know, that you get played. Because you should be somewhat aware of what's going on. And once you're aware, once you have knowledge, trust me, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna be a slave once you have knowledge. You're not gonna be a savage. Because you're gonna know better. You're gonna know that if I do this, this is gonna be the reaction. If I try to jump over the lava river because I think I can, might have some issues. What is a woman's place in all of this? Do I have standing to teach my son, or should I seek a male tutor for him? Well, with certain things, the masculine energy is needed in the heir's life. Right? But the basic foundation, bottom line, is coming from mother. Because first, you have the offspring for 9 months, so that's pretty much ownership. If dad does 2 minutes and you do 9 months, then you're probably the one that has the power. His dad's job is 2 minutes and yours is 9 months. Obviously, you know, you're the one putting in all the work.
2 minutes.
Right? So
give the dad a little bit more credit than that. Come on.
Because you know what I mean? Because if she's seeking a male tutor, that means, you know what I mean, he was probably a son when he you know what I mean? Right? Because obviously he's not doing nothing. 2 minute guy. Right? So she's left to do it. Right? So it is two answers. Right? I think the age is 7 is the cutoff time when only mother could do stuff, because heir needs milk. Dad can't provide that. Heir needs nurturing and you know, cuddling and certain things are needed at a young age. Right? The rigidness and all that stuff comes after they get these basic things. Right? So they get the basic things from the mom, and then the dad, who the mom sanctions, right? Because even dad, go ask your mother. He doesn't want no problems.
Or did you ask your mom?
All right.
Yeah. The
Did
dad
you
don't
ask
want
me,
to get
Rob?
cut tail from the mom. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, because he doesn't want the couch and all that stuff, right? So father has a different type of interaction with heir, with the offspring. Right? So if offspring is over 7, 8, and there hasn't been a man in his life yet, you need to get a man in his life because he's gonna turn into Dwayne Wade's son. So make sure 7, 8. If there's no man there, yes, go find some positive masculine male role model in order to balance the energy at that time. Because without it, you're gonna have issues later. And I'm talking about that because I come from child services and all that stuff, background, after school programs and all that stuff. And when we were doing that in 2000, 20 years ago, when we were doing that, we already saw what we're seeing manifest right now. Because all these brothers, all these little brothers come in the program, their mom was bringing them. And their mom wasn't bringing them because their mom was only available and their dad wasn't. Dad wasn't even in the picture. So we became what you're looking for, right? That male role model. And we do the sport stuff with them, and we do the man talks, and and it got like that because they have no father figures. There was mothers that were going to their house to help them deal with the school because the school's saying he's dumb and he needs Ritalin or whatever, and there's no man there. So we would have to coach them, like, no, talk like this. Don't talk like you're a single black mother and all that stuff. You talk like you got husband at home, he's working. You got 5 different uncles that could come over here, kick somebody's ass. You got granddad. You got, even if it's just you, you make them think that your stuff is supported. Because as soon as they realize that you're not supported, here they come with their shots and their whatever else, trying to play the dad when they had nothing to do with the birth of that heir, and they shouldn't have any say. So we're not talking out of our mouth, or we're not talking from some book that we read. We're talking from being in these situations and knowing that there's been, just like the savage stuff that we were reading with, these people have an agenda against our people. But the only way that they can implement it and it be successful is if we aren't teaching our heirs and our offspring and whoever else this information, this type of information, not the regular stuff that everybody's been telling you for the past 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. This information that nobody talks about. Right? And honestly, for your questions, because that's the only way you're going to get answers, by asking questions. Other than that, it's just a lecture. Hopefully you get something that you could learn, or hopefully that the individual who's teaching is on a level where they're giving you information that you can go research and learn. Other than that, these people just want to hear their self-talk. They have no interest in saving you or your family, and they just want to hear them self-talk. That 80% of these people, they're in front the thing trying to teach you something, and they're looking at their self on the screen. They're not even looking in the camera. And then you're taking them serious, as they know what they're talking about. Not all of them, but majority. They get caught up in listening to their self-talk. Right?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little something to what you were saying.
Yeah, more.
To the Empress, it can never be understated how important it is when you're pregnant with that child to be studying something or to be learning something, because that goes directly into the child. So your most dominant thought or attribute while you're pregnant goes directly into the child, and the child comes out with that attribute. I can't understate that. I can't overstate that, enough, because, and that's not just a theory, that is real. Like, I have my godmother, when she was pregnant with her 3 boys, she was reading a novel a day, and all of them came out reading encyclopedia level at the age of 3. They could pronounce big, like they didn't know the meaning of the words, but they were properly pronouncing big, long words from an encyclopedia at the age.
No mozzarella sticks.
Right? Another example is when my mother was pregnant with me. She was stressed, and what calms her down is she's an artist. So she paints, she draws, she sews, she does beadwork on wedding dresses, and so on and so forth. And when I was born, that's what I took to, and I'm a designer now. And for my sister, when she was pregnant with my sister, she was very happy. So she was singing all the time. My mother's also a professional singer. And so my sister now is a professional singer. You know, my best friend, when her mother was pregnant with her mother was studying Sufism. And so when my best friend was born, and all throughout her life, she sees auras and she sees spirits now. So it can't be overstated enough, the importance of what you're studying and what you're doing when you're pregnant with that child. And whatever you study while you're pregnant, you have to love it. You can't hate it. You can't be like, oh, I got to study this because I want to give it to my child. Because if you don't like what you're doing and you're doing it while you're pregnant, the child will come out and won't like what you were just studying.
Yep.
So it's important that you actually have a passion for what you're studying while you're pregnant with the child. You got to love what you're doing. And so the child will come out loving that subject or whatever you're or whatever you were doing, and then they'll carry that on. So it's very, very important. That can't be overstated enough. With that, I yield. And actually, to add on exactly what Cujo was saying about the male figure after 7, yeah, like fully agree with that. That's really important.
Yeah, that makes me think as well, because my mother always loved to do gardening, so I'm just thinking now she must have been doing gardening too while she was pregnant, because I also have a passion with making copper jewelry and using different crystals from the earth. So she's also an earth sign, so
Yep.
Yep.
It's all right there.
Mm.
It's all right there. But again, we haven't been told. Right? We haven't been given the right reference points. We've been given, distractions. Look at majority of the people who found out about this information. They're 30, 40, they're finding out about this when they should have been known this from the womb. And then think about, if we knew this from the womb, what would it look like with our people right now? Think we'd be having issues with crack and all that stuff? That wouldn't be our problems. Savage on savage violence and all that, we wouldn't be having them problems.
That info, like, realize literally in one generation you could turn it around.
One generation.
One generation.
Commitment. True commitment. That's all it takes. True commitment. Salam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all the Moors. Yep, CMB is a good teacher of the science. Yep, he's definitely one to use as an example. Definitely a good one to use.
Yeah, CMB was one of the first. Well, not CMB. I was thinking of C. Freeman L. I was thinking of C. Freeman L. there for a second. C. Freeman L. was. He's another one, man. This guy he's the first one that I know of using frequencies and stuff like that, saying listen to frequencies and But yeah, CMB obviously.
Yeah. Islam to all the Moors, worldwide. Honors, peace and love always. We'll definitely be getting back in. We'll definitely be getting back in soon, sooner than later. Keep studying, Moors. Don't forget, bottom of the screen, MHHS, night wide open. Never fails. You're always going to get something from rvbaypublications.com. You're always going to get something. Don't forget sakinamore.com. Check that out. Study, 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 Moors. That's where it's at right now. Knowing who we are and not being a savage. There are two options. Either you're Moor and you know the truth about your nationality and birthrights, or you're on your way to knowing the truth, or you're a savage. That's your options. Pick a side. Islam, Brother Sheldon. This is Brother Eon.
Islam, fam.
Give thanks.
Yeah, give
no,
thanks.
Brother Yusuf probably had the service kick him off.
Yeah, I think he might have disconnected.
Yeah, they've been playing with him all day. They've been playing with him. Honors to all the Moors. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Love, have a good night.
Yep. Dead time. All right, fam. We'll build soon.
Peace and love, Moor.
Peace and love.
Common sense was made before book sense. Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Case Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we bring them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets told me upright, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Saute, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, deja vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no door, I lay in plain sight. But people still can't see it, so the snake's still showing up. Stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death, different slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astral plane entrances, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life. Finishing.
Moorish or more, key man or oracle, using trinity powers, decipher allegorical, lost and metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic, facts like a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic, calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved, or cut like a close shave, drowned in my brainwaves, squash my heat waves, activating Kundalini, Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini, Selassie I in exile, reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real, all I see is false evidence, they are feminists, stomped on by elephants, won't like no prejudice, but want Moorish benefits. When you feel the cold magnetic resonance, apis horns of the sacred book, all maleficent. Great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness, no pestilence. Ace all the testaments, tap into remembrance, never to forget again. Use energy right, not put spell effects on men. Wandering the earth plane with no tailored shades, keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades. It's been decades since Christian crusades, not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets, holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday. War ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors present Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?